Okay, so why was queen takes b5 so good? So, once the queen takes on b5, you'll notice that this is a fork, right? We're attacking two pieces, the queen and the king. So once again, CBM. So capture, yes, the queen can capture the queen. Block, can we block? Yes, we can just put the queen here, right? Over there. Or move. Yeah, we can move the king, right? But the best move would definitely be to capture, right? Because you get a free queen. Or that's what it looks like. But now in this position, can anybody find the pin? Or sorry, not the pin, the fork. Nicole? Okay. And does anybody have a different guess? Uh, okay. And so does anybody have anything other than knight to c3? Hita? Okay. So yeah, knight to c3 is the correct option, right? You're attacking the queen and the knight, and the king. So now remember, with the knight giving a fork, you saw this why this is so powerful. You can't block the fork, right? So that means that you have to capture the knight or move the king. So you can't capture the knight. There's nothing attacking the knight right now, right? And so that means you have to move your king. So you move over here. Now we just capture the queen. Now you'll notice that we have two extra pawns and a knight. That means that if we use, remember one of our special rules of chess was promotion. So if we promote one of these pawns, for example, let's say we promote into a queen, now we have an extra queen, a knight, and a pawn. So now we can use these three pieces to checkmate, right? So that's another reason why promotion was so useful. But you saw how this was set up um using the fork, right? So sometimes forks will be in two moves like this. First, you have to capture a piece and deflect it. Deflect basically means you see how this is a pin, right? Now if you take this and force him to take, there's no pin anymore. So the knight is straight to move. So then we play another move where we can give the fork and win the game. Alright? So this was one of the more complicated ones. Now let's go on to the second. So this case, white played knight to a3. Here it's black to move, and once again this is in two moves. So the first move is not a fork. The second move is going to be a fork. Alright? So in two moves, what is black's best way to give a fork? Okay, Hita? Okay, so Hita says knight takes c2. Alright, Roma? Okay, so just remember that we say the letter before the number, but yeah, that move is correct. So bishop f8 to a3. So now why did we take this knight? Well, you'll see. So now once we take this pawn, now how about Rito? Where is the fork in this position? Can you find a fork with our knight? I'll give you a hint. It attacks the king and the rook. Yeah, that's correct. So knight takes c2. Now you attack the king and the rook. So once the king moves, because remember, it has to capture or move, right? And there's no way to capture this knight, so the king has to move. Then we can take the rook, and now we have an extra rook, right? So this would be definitely a better position for us. So now why did we take this knight on a3, right? Why didn't we just take on c2? Well, the reason was this knight was defending c2 in the beginning. So if we remove the defender, now c2 is undefended. So now we can take on c2 and then give a fork and then take the rook. And then we have an extra rook. Right? Okay, Nicole? Yeah, so that's another two important things. So they can't castle. Okay, now let's go on to our last position of the day likely. So in this case, black just played c takes b5. Alright, now it is white to move, and can you guys find a really good fork that'll give us a lot of extra material to win the game? Okay, Jeten? Okay, so Jeten says knight to d5. Does anybody have a different option? Roma? Okay. So, yeah, knight to d5 is the correct move. And we see why, right? So we're giving a check to the king, and we're attacking the queen. So once we do both of these things, the knight can't be captured by anything, right? So the king has to move. So once the king moves, then we can take the queen. Now we have an extra queen. That means that we should be able to win the game. Alright? Okay, so next week we'll look at what discovered checks are. But we can end it right here because it is almost time to go. So today what we looked at were pins and forks, right? So a pin is basically when one piece cannot move because a piece behind it is going to be attacked by our piece, right? And for example, what we saw was this case, right? So now this queen cannot move because the piece behind it, or the king, is being attacked by our bishop. So that is a pin. And pins can be used throughout the game, right? In all stages, they're really common and are most commonly made by bishops because bishops can do these kind of attacks where it's from long range and there's a piece behind another piece. All right? So then we also looked at forks. Now forks are most commonly made with a knight because it can't be blocked, right? And they're most common in the middle and end games because it's not very easy to give a fork in the opening. Not only that, but what a fork is when you're attacking two pieces at the same time, right? So in this case, we saw attacking the king and the rook at the same time. So once the king moves, because the king is being attacked, so you have to do something about that, then you can take the other piece. Now, it doesn't always have to be a king. It can be like two rooks or a queen and a rook, something like that, right? But most commonly, it's a king and another piece, like um, a bishop, rook, or queen. All right. So, does anybody have any questions about the pin or the fork? Nicole? Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, those are special cases, right? So in certain games, certain openings, you can get a fork, but in most openings, it's very difficult because there's a lot of pieces and it's very hard to attack a very specific square with ease. But in the middle game and end game, yeah, it's very easy to use your knight to give a fork. All right. Okay, so if nobody has any other questions, then there will be no homework for this week's class. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. I will be sending the recordings to you today, and I will see you guys next Friday. Bye. Bye.